Everyone's talking about the New York Knicks offense, and rightfully so, but what I've seen over the past 3 games during the Knicks' recent win streak is giving me some confidence that this defense could possibly lead them to a championship. Still early right now, but we got to talk about it. Hit that rock. Before we get started, make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit the dark notification bell for each and every notification for each and every video. It's your boy G Malik Knicks. Let's get it. So we got to talk about, look, the New York Knicks have been on a solid run the past 3 games, having a 3-game win streak, beating the Bulls in a get-back game. Obviously, they have the Samo, but it's the Bulls. Overrated ass Bulls. Come on, bro. 5-0. What are we doing here? Then going on to beat the bum-ass Washington Wizards, Alex Sarr. Pray for that guy, man. Oh, man, I feel bad for him, bro. Man. Mary Mother, man. And then beating the Minnesota Timberknicks with Dante Vincenzo, my son. Dude didn't throw any agitation moves, didn't throw any darts at the Knicks or nothing during the game, then try to rile us up, man. That guy still loves New York, bro. And Julius Randle had 32 points, solid 32 points. But again, the Julius Randle, you always feel like they're it's empty production. Whatever. The Knicks won that game 137 to 116, despite Julius Randle's 32 points. Then Anthony Edwards, who got me really pissed. Now you want to play basketball, you're hurt. But now you want to rush back and play because of the Knicks? Really? Anyway, either way, everyone's talking about the offense, right? The ball movement, Jalen Brunson and his 30-some point games. Carney Towns finally picking the spots, being aggressive, attacking the basket, eating in the post, dunking on players after getting sunned by Kyle. Kyle, I got to dress up in a Lane Bryant pink female suit to try to look cool. Kuzma? Really, my guy? Gotta beat somebody. That guy on the block. But then he comes back, dunks on Alex Sarr, dunks on Anthony Edwards. So many things you could talk about this offense. Mikal Bridges putting up some numbers, being a lot more efficient compared to last season, despite the fact that he hurt me on 2 parlays because he couldn't hit his damn point. It's not part of the damn video. I apologize for that. But everything and anything can be talked about this New York Knicks offense. But it's a defense. Got to give credit to Brandon O'Connor with the philosophies brought over from the Clippers, JVG being at the helm of that. A defense that now is ranked 5th in the league in terms of defensive rating and 7th in opponents' points allowed per game. Again, only 8 games to the season, small sample size, but you're definitely seeing some of the differences and the nuances that he's brought over from the Clippers versus last year. Now, we could talk about the turnovers and the Knicks leading ball handlers into traps, guys playing the passing lanes a little bit more effectively, despite the fact that when you look at the Knicks numbers this season, number of steals, the Knicks are, 22nd in steals this season, 17th in turnovers generated versus last year. They were around 14th in generating turnovers and 13th in steals. So obviously there's a long way to go, but it seems as if right now there's a little bit more of a calculated approach to the defense in terms of generating steals, playing the passing lanes, leading ball handlers into kind of like soft traps, and kind of reading off of once you lead that ball handler into a trap, the passing lanes or the passing trees are available to him. You've seen that several times over the past win streak by the Knicks. So here is a play to just talk about the passing lane defense. Here in this system, Brandon Connell bringing it over from the LA Clippers. Now, granted, this is something that Tom Thibodeau also preached as well, too, playing the passing lanes. But for whatever reason, many times guys got tired. We just didn't see it as consistently as you would like. Granted, Knicks ranked in the top 15 regarding steals last season. But again, I think a lot of that had to do with one, OJ Anunoby, Mikal Bridges being good in utilizing their length, OJ being a really good point of attack defender, Miles McBride, when healthy, being one as well too, even though he had the groin injury last year. But for whatever reason, it seems that this year it's a much more defined principle, narrative for this team to execute on. Now, here you're seeing Anthony Edwards, who again is coming off a hamstring injury, was not 100%, was utilized a little bit more as a facilitator, especially early on in that first half. Anthony Edwards trying to initiate the offense coming from the post, uses gravity, try to bully Miles McBrittlestein's my son. And here you see an OG Anunoby. Now, this is another point I'm gonna get to later in the video. But OG Anunoby is trying to go and get that steal with a poster player, which is another principle, very interesting principle that Brandon O'Connor's brought over, right? Not playing with your heels back on defense, being aggressive. And so OG Anunoby here was actually going to go and set that try to steal the ball from Anthony Edwards, especially if he spun to his left. Anthony Edwards did not. But also this game, Anthony Edwards early on was trying to find that corner pass. Now, granted, the Wolves did a decent job, at least in the first half, of swinging the ball around, push the ball around, especially with the dribble drive penetration. So typically, many times, it ended up in the corner's hands. But Anthony Edwards was making a few of these cross-court passes to the corner option. And here you're seeing Clarkson help out with the tag and getting right back to that passing lane that we talked about, that weird area that we talked about. And he does a really good job of one helping out. I believe that's Jaden McDaniels, who's kind of just running into Anthony Edwards, which is not smart. And then he gets back and plays that passing lane. Anthony Edwards leaves up in the air. Jordan Clarkson, who's not even known as a good defender, does a really good job of being disciplined, playing that passing lane, and getting right back or near his assignment to make that play. Great play by the Knicks, but something that I think that you're going to start to see everybody in this offense execute on, eating off the passing lanes. So here you're seeing, I would say, the patent OG Anunoby passing lane still, with OG Anunoby, you see Mikal Bridges and even Miles McBride make these steals at the top of the key. Now, something that's really interesting is not to say OG Anunoby wasn't doing this last year, but if you go back to last year, many times teams took OG Anunoby out the game because Tom Thibodeau liked to have his players on a certain assignment. There wasn't a ton of switching, even though there's probably more switching as the season progressed. That was typically off of screens and whatnot. But now you're starting to see Mike Brown almost set different assignments, right? The assignments, I wouldn't say change possession, but he's a lot more fluid in terms of who he wants on certain players. And I think that he's purposely doing this to have a thief at the top of the key. Now, obviously, OG Anunoby and Jalen Brunson, night and day in terms of defense, even though Jalen Brunson tries on defense. But having a guy like OG Anunoby in this situation on a player like CJ McCollum, like that's not, even from a defensive standpoint, you're probably not thinking you're using OG Anunoby at the most efficient spot in terms of his defense, right? It's just, I could use OG Anunoby on a bigger player. I could use him on a Keyshawn George, who's a three-point shooter, have him kind of harass him there. But I think that Mike Brown and Brandon O'Connor, they like having that player who can make that passing lane still at the top of the key from a lazy pass from the wing. Now, that also means now that teams have to now use their guards or whoever the recipient is a little bit more, exhaust them a little bit more, right? Move them up and down and try to get the ball back from the wing. That takes time off the clock and obviously lessens the chance of a good shot going up and off in that possession for the opponent. And you're seeing OG Anunoby here. Again, OG Anunoby or CJ McCollum, really? Now, you're seeing Alex Sarr, who I think is overrated, looking to make that pass lazy as hell. And look at OG Anunoby's eyes. He's just sensing to see, okay, is your man CJ McCollum going to make a backdoor cut or move away from me and not be in my line of sight, which is in this area where he's going to make that steal? I'm telling you, OG Anunoby's made that play almost every game this season. And I don't think it's just randomly whatever. I think it's by design. Have a guy like OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Miles Brittlestein play that top of the key passing lane. We get a bunch of steals with a lot of lazy passes to try to reset the play. And here you're seeing Alex Sarr. And look at OG Anunoby. It's not as if, first of all, I think that Bud Carroll's trying to set a screen down for OG and have McCollum come and get the pass. But again, we have these young, precocious teams. They're going to be sloppy in their execution. And you have a guy who probably just doesn't want to beat it. CJ McCollum not really cutting to come down and get that pass. OG Anunoby's playing the passing lane the whole freaking way. Look at him. He's already in position to get that pass. And it wasn't the greatest of passes, but it wasn't the slowest of passes. OG Anunoby's playing that, reading that the whole way. Makes the deflection. Gets the steal for one of his easy, ugly, big man dunks. And this is what this defense is all about. Being advantageous, being aggressive, and being smart and being calculated. Now, some other film that I want to show is with the Knicks and their advantageous, aggressive steals. Now, this is not to say that Tom Thibodeau didn't implement this last year. We saw in games against the Nuggets where they were just sending a lot of help and doubles on Jokic whenever he had his back to the basket. And so it's not as if it's a foreign concept, but you're seeing it a lot more aggressively here. And several times it's burned us. But I'd probably say it's helped us a lot more than it's hurt us this season. Now you're seeing here with the Bulls, lazy play by Vucevic as Giddey kicks it out to him. He's trying to post up Mitchell Robinson. OG Anunoby makes the easy steal. Voila. Booda bang, booda boom, whatever the hell you want to say. And there's several plays of that in this game. Another one with Vucevic here. He's getting an entry pass from Giddey against Cat. Cat was not a great defender. Now, people can sit up here and say, oh, well, something to help Cat's way. But again, look at OG. OG's annoying, bro. Look at his face. He's trying to act like he's not creeping this whole time, man. I mean annoying in a fun way. But OG Anunoby here act as if he's gonna go back. Now here's another play by the Knicks, same game where the Knicks are aggressive off of the post-up player. Here, Vucevic, who was trying to establish position against Cat, getting an entry pass from Josh Giddey. Giddey gets it to Vucevic. You're seeing OG kind of hover around and wait to see if Vucevic kind of turns and makes that post-up play, that drive into the basket on Cat's right side. And you're seeing Josh Hart just creeping. Now, Josh Hart has Kevin Huerter, who hurt us the last game, no point intended, before this game in Chicago. But again, the name of the game here under Brendan O'Connor is to not rest on your back heels, be aggressive, take the chances. You're hoping that there'll be some cross rotations as OG Anunoby here is actually waiting around. Even though Josh Giddey killed us from 3 the first game in Chicago, you're seeing OG Anunoby kind of wait around because I think the understanding is that Josh is going to double. Then you have OG who's going to kick out to Huerter. Shamet will shift over to Giddey. And then Brunson will have to shift over to Patrick Williams. And that's a lot of passing with the time winding down. It's still 12 seconds up on the shot clock, but it's a lot of passing. And in that time, the defense could definitely reset and get to original assignments or get to any assignment, not original assignment, but get to any guy that's available, right? And have a true 5-on-5 versus a whole bunch of closeouts. But here you're seeing, again, OG Anunoby kind of waiver. He moves out to Giddey. And then Josh now makes his attack, gets this steal on a Vucevic, who that was just an actual really bad play by Vucevic. But Josh Hart, again, being aggressive, getting that steal. Vucevic puts the ball to the ground, thinking that he has Cat, and also just being really stupid here. So great on Josh, but again, great on the defense, being aggressive, getting the steals when the post-up player is trying to make something work. Here's another play of the Knicks calculated aggressive steals with the post-up player or a player with their back turned away from the Knicks players, which you're gonna have to put in these scouting reports. You got to be uber careful with the Knicks. If you're gonna have your back back to them, if you're gonna be in a post position with another player, not your initial defender, another player lurking by, you got to get the ball out of your hands quickly. You got to make the actions as soon as possible because someone's be lurking around. Someone's going to try to make a steal. So here you see CJ McCollum try to get the pass up to Keyshawn George. Keyshawn was actually running the pick and roll rather effectively this game against the Knicks, at least early on. You're seeing Alex Sarr going to make the screen to come and set that pick and roll action. But even before Alex Sarr can make the decision, look at freaking Mikal Bridges' egghead ass head over here with his eyes on a prize. Wait, freaking Keyshawn thinking that handoff or that pass from CJ McCollum was just going to take McCollum out the play and thus his defender. Now, if McCollum was smart, he would have made the cut to the basket, would have been an easy play for Keyshawn. Maybe Cat helps out, but either way, you're putting pressure and some strain on the Knicks defense. But again, salute to the Knicks for being aggressive. Brendan O'Connor's philosophy, do not play with your back heels. You see Mikal Bridges go for that steal. Wham! Sarr wasn't ready for the pass. Easy fast break opportunity. Kick out to OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby driving to the basket, throws up the alley-oop, I believe, for Mikal Bridges, who made the alley-oop layup. But either way, great on the Knicks for being uber aggressive, for being slick with it as well, too. right, attacking right inside of the, I guess the fluid play, right? It wasn't even the bang bang play or part of the play itself. It was just kind of like the connector play, right? It wasn't anything really happening here, but Macau with the Wizards being lulled to sleep by them just trying to get into their actions, which is that pick and roll, gets steal, deflection, and the Knicks eat yet again with a player whose back is turned towards a player. Now here is where I think is the perfect play that encompasses everything you want to see in a Knicks defense this time against the Washington Wizards. But when I tell you, you see everything. You want to see communication, you want to see rotations, you want to see fighting over the screen, you want to see hedging, effective hedging, you want to see lateral defense, you want to see post-up defense, you want to see the help, you want to see contesting. Find me a better defensive possession this season by the Knicks than this one. So let's start it off. As you see, Koulibaly, I believe that is. No, that might be Johnston. It's one of the two, Johnson or Koulibaly. I think it's Koulibaly with the headband. So you see here again, Yabusele out against Bud Carrington. They try to get the pass down low to your man Marvin Bagley. Clarkson doing a good job. And Marvin Bagley, look, for all of Marvin Bagley's faults, Marvin Bagley's still an effective post-up weapon. So this is not the easiest of assignments for Jordan Clarkson, who again is not a great defender by any, or good defender by any stretch of imagination, but Clarkson does a good job holding his base. You got Yabusele with the help. You got Brunson looking on. You got that cut underneath by Koulibaly, but OG helps out, so then he kicks it back out to Bud Carrington. You're seeing the rotations in effect. Beautiful move. You're seeing Josh Hart about to go out to CJ McCollum, Brunson on Bud Carrington. They kick out. It's now C. You had Keyshawn George open. This is where maybe you would say that this play could have been bit. But again, OG Anunoby, who's fairly good on closeouts, has that. It looks like he at least would contest that. So it's not necessarily given that Keyshawn would have gotten that shot off. Now Josh Hart gets turned around here a little bit here on this drive by CJ McCollum. The closeout was a little sloppy by Josh Hart. But he does a good job moving a little bit, gives a little bump to CJ McCollum, who's not the quickest or the fleetest of players. I don't even know that's a damn word to really get by that. So Josh does a good job of contesting as CJ McCollum tries to go for the shot. No bueno, Keyshawn. Here you're seeing the switch again, very fluid switch. This is something that we've seen in years prior. Didn't happen this way. Now, later in last season, you saw Tom Thibodeau utilize the switch a little bit more, but just not as much as, say, Mike Brown this season. Mike Brown is trusting these players to be able to hold their assignment, again, with all the help the helper, the aggressive steals, playing the passing lanes. There's a bunch of options to help you if you are, in a situation where you could get beat off the dribble. But here, Keyshawn pass it back out to Bud Carrington. Now he has Brunson on him. Your man Marvin Bagley tries to set the screen. Brunson does a great job of trying to jump that screen. At least initially, he gets blocked off a little bit by Marvin Bagley, but he fights through. Yabu does a great job. And this is what we talk about with hedging. Look at the space. And look at the space that, I just said that. Look at the space and look at the angles that Yabusele could block off or defend effectively, right? And this is where I get mad with Kurt. But Yabusele does a great job of hedging, getting in front of Bud Carrington enough that Bud Carrington have a free lane to the basket. He can't get deeper into the paint to try to, create even more chaos against the Knicks defenders. But also Yabusele can make that steal if he tries to make that in the pocket pass to cutting Marvin Bagley. This is why I talk about with Cat. I wish he'd do a little bit more. Yabusele does a great job of hedging. And again, he's just keeping that space. He's going back, making sure he can get back into Marvin Bagley. Now, Bud Carrington doesn't have really any option to get that to Marvin Bagley anymore. The time is winding down. 3.7 seconds left to go in this possession. You got to put the ball up. You did all that, and you're probably your first option, Marvin Bagley. Second option, and CJ McCollum. It's not really working. Maybe you had a third in Keyshawn, but he passed it right back out to you, and Keyshawn's probably their most effective offensive player just overall. And seeing here, Bud Carrington against a solid shooter from Pittsburgh, the mean streets of Pittsburgh, 4-1-2. Tries to shoot that. Brunson does a good job of keeping his ground, not jumping with it, still trying to contest. And again, Brunson at 6'1", 6'2" is not going to really contest much of anything, just stand there. But he did such a good job of making Bud Carrington have to work for that. Bud Carrington, even if he gets a shot off with so much time winding down on the clock, the probability of him getting a fluid shot off is just really low right here. But again, everything perfect in that Knicks defense. Just one more time. Let me speed it up. Not trying to bore you guys, but it's just beautiful to see the rotations, the communication. You saw guys pointing. You saw guys talking on this possession. You're seeing guys hold their ground. Just beautiful by the Knicks. Clarkson holding the ground again. Kick out to Bud Carrington. Sweep around to McCollum. Josh does a good job. And again, the contact was minimal. No foul. The switch here. Kick out to Bud Carrington. They try to set another little pick and roll here at the wing. Brunson does a good job of fighting over it. And your man Yabusele, who's been much maligned this season. I've gotten on Yabusele for his weight, as well as his just overall ineffective play for the most part this season. Does a great job of hedging, keeping ground. Here's a small ball five, a place that he struggles at, or at least he struggled at mightily last season. But here you're seeing the Knicks, everything that Brendan O'Connor has preached, just coming to perfect fruition and harmony for this team on that play. Now let's talk about the Knicks defense. Obviously is not without its wrinkles. And here against the lowly Washington Wizards, it reared its ugly head. The Knicks' issues with the pick and roll have been evident this season. The drop back defense by Cat, some of the confusion, the inability of guys to shed screens. Now, obviously, I just showed the perfect play. But again, that's the perfect play. The Knicks have not been perfect on defense. But here you're going to see a compilation of plays where the Knicks are getting killed on the pick and roll. Kaishan here hitting the three. Brunson just, I don't know what Brunson was doing, but way too late to close out. Name of the game really wasn't a heavy pick and roll offense, so you didn't really see that the defense being exposed. Look at how far Cat is. Now Cat's trying to recover. Once you recover, and then OG does a terrible job of cutting off this area. You gotta be able to cut off this area and stop that pass, almost like trapping into a soft trap, creating that soft trap for Kaishan George. But OG does a terrible job. Cat playing just way too deep of a drop back initially. Tries to play up, not Alex Sarr has a free reign to the basket. I mean, if Jalen Brunson was there quicker, maybe you could just sit up there and draw that and get that offensive foul. But Jalen's way too late. Just some bad rhythm on that pick and roll. Jalen tries to go back to his man. When you have Cat there, you just expect that he's not going to be able to recover in time. So overall, look, there's some good, there's some bad, there's some hopeful with this Knicks defense. But some of the things that we're seeing over these past few games, and really over the whole season, but I think over the past winning streak, you're starting to see a lot of these concepts that Brendan O'Connor, that Mike Brown are trying to infuse into this team, kind of see these things kind of manifest and into some solid success. I think the Knicks are starting to make some teams really work for their possessions. Teams that have to be cognizant of the aggressive helps, especially in the post-up plays. Or if you have your back turned towards the Knicks, the passing lanes have definitely been a red zone or at least a yellow zone for many teams. Can't make sloppy passes. You got not just OG, but guys like Clarkson, Brunson, my son Macau, who again got to second place in defensive player of the year by playing the passing lanes in Phoenix. Just the team concept in terms of playing the passing lanes, and obviously less minutes on these guys' legs have definitely kept these guys fresh. Now obviously there's some continuity rhythm issues that go with that, but for the most part, Mike Brown over the past few games, especially after the Bucks game, stated that he's going to start to keep some lineups a little bit longer to allow that, essentially allow that cohesion, allow that rhythm to kind of build. And so I think all these factors can definitely lead to the Knicks having, an elite defense. Now, is it going to be a shutdown defense? No, but one that could cause issues, one that's not going to be stuck and having Aaron Naismith bomb 30 billion threes on you in a quarter. It's definitely going to get to that level and even better. And you have guys like Mitchell Robinson, when healthy, is a cheat code. I mean, this Knicks, they have a good blend and mix on both the offensive and defensive end. But again, what carries the Knicks this season is going to be on the defense. Last year's offense was good enough to get us to the finals. The defense was not. But if the Knicks continue to play like they have these past few games, in that win streak, like they did in the perfect play I showed you with the Wizards, making teams waste time, burn passes, have to reset, have to go to the third, fourth, fifth option in a possession, definitely could get to an elite status. defensively for this Knicks team. So that's my video. Didn't want to make it too long, even though it's probably going to be 30 million minutes. But let me know your thoughts, your comments. How do you guys see this defense? Where do you see this defense going? What are some of the things that you've seen over the past few games that gives you confidence and hope that this Knicks defense could remain or stay as elite as we've seen these past few games? Your boy Gmo, Legion Knicks. Please leave a like, a comment at the end of the video. I appreciate each and every one of you supporting the channel. I appreciate you guys. God bless. See you guys in the next one.